Try pole vaulting. You see, you do this, you do the vagaries and you make me stumble, and then you're like, oh, I'll cut it together later. He seems human when we cut it together. It's my outlet for competition. It is. And it's different enough that not everybody can do it. And it gives you an identity. My name's Sam Kendricks. I'm a track and field athlete professionally. I'm the two-time world champion and Olympic bronze medalist reigning in this event. We're in Oxford, Mississippi. People ask me, Sam, yeah, you came from a small town. Why'd you stay there? It's a good question. It really is. It's a long way, and it's a lot of flights, and it's a lot of hassle to live in a small place, but that's what I love about it. It is a way to disengage. Now this puppy right here, he came from my old man's litter. And my sister has the brother, my brother has the sister, and my aunt has another brother. So we kept a lot of litter in the family, which is kind of cool. So welcome, this is where I grew up. And as we've progressed into the future, we've worked our way down the hill. This is my father's place.
I'm Scott Kendricks, and I'm known in track circles as Sam Kendricks' father and coach. As a little boy, his after-school program was coming to my track practice from 1st grade all the way through 12th grade.
Coach Kendricks was synonymous with a championship. You know, I can't tell you how many rings that I've seen around this town on people's hands that they're so proud of from winning a state championships as a part of the Oxford High School track team. It's a legacy.
And they were there for a whole bunch of them. And then one day, all of a sudden, they're on the team. Sam started pole vaulting really as a 7th grader. And then by 8th grade, he was good enough to be my number 2 guy on my high school team.
Now, the key to the track was the greatest gift that I ever got in athletics, because no one could keep me out. There was no lock gate, there was no rules if I was going to train. And that was my way to break free.
When he was a senior, he jumped the highest of any boy ever in our state, still to this day, 17 feet. And at that point, I knew Sam could possibly do something really special with his jumping.
I won the SEC championship outdoors. I won the national collegiate championship in Oregon in Tracktown. And then I went on to win the USA championships, the big 3.
Who could imagine that you'd win another one the next year? And then after you celebrate that one, who could even imagine you win another one? So we never thought there'd be the first, you know?
I realized that it was best for me to become a professional. I didn't know it was going to be my last year as a collegiate. People don't love to talk about sacrifice, but that's just the nature of being an athlete, is you have to learn how to sacrifice and let that become who you are. At the beginning of 2017, I left for 5 months. I had some duty with the Army, and I had to go to school. And that's just one of those things that you have to sacrifice for. I wanted to be an officer. I wanted to be taught to be a leader. I wanted to have that calling ingrained in me. I gave up my off season for the Army and my entire indoor season as well in order to get that commitment, that service, so that I could then go back to focusing on my job as a reservist and my job as an athlete. There's a competition behind the scenes that most people don't understand about professional track and field. Every time you go display yourself as a professional, you're in front of a new crowd, and you have to prove yourself to them as well. You have to get on planes early. You have to get off planes late. You have to get to the competition hungry. And you still got to be able to put that bar up there and leave it there when you jump. And so I didn't do things like the opening ceremony in favor of focusing on myself, being the most ready for that 1 or 2 chances on the track to prove myself. When I get to the back of the runway, there's 146 feet of runway in front of me. I have to take off at exactly 13 feet 2 inches. I have to be gripping that pole at exactly 15 feet 11 and a half inches, and all of this to let me rise into the air effortlessly. As the world champion and as a #1 ranked athlete, you can't live one day at a time. You have to know that there's expectation of you in the future, and you have to be ready for those, and it takes sacrifice now to be ready for it then. I have to defend my title this year, and then I gotta be ready to do it again with the world's eyes on me, with the USA jersey on my chest to do it again in Tokyo. And that's just a creature that you have to become being a professional. You have to be able to absorb expectation and produce results. If you want to play this game, you got to tango, and you've got to be willing to put that pressure on yourself every year. That's why it's got a big turnover.
All right, Sam Kendricks, final attempt at 580, 19 feet, 1/4 inch.
If you go with the highs and lows, they'll take you so high, it'll be euphoric. Then they'll take you so low, you won't be able to come back. And that's dangerous. You can't live there. I've known people that tried. I don't wear fancy watches, so it was kind of lost on me, so I said, but it means something awesome. Looking back at these medals, you're like, you don't want to try to remember the things you could have done better. You remember why it was so awesome. And that's tough sometimes, because the whole world says, hey, you need to do better next time as well. And that's why stories are always appreciated. So if you don't remember the why and the because, it's just a hunk of metal in a box. Now, the special thing about being a pole vaulter is that you get the best seat in the house for 2 hours, maybe 3, of a great track meet. And especially being the captain of the Team USA, well, that's a cool responsibility. I might as well position myself accordingly in order to encourage people. And sometimes when you're out there in the middle of the track, being able to say that I'm not so stressed is a skill that I learned in the military as an officer. The greatest award I've ever been voted for is this one. You know, where my peers and coaches and everybody in the USA track and field community said, hey, you're the best of us this year. It was presented to me remotely, sadly, because I couldn't go to the function because I was on military duty that day. But
That's not why we do this anyway. You know, it's just a cool thing. As a high school coach, you know, I gathered together 3 or 4 poles for Sam. We didn't have any fancy clubs, 100 poles to choose from, so we were really making it work for a lot of years.
the one thing that you're gonna have to always have as a track athlete, especially as a pole vault, is a place to freaking do it. And I got one right here at home. So when I'm running through those trees, through those sweet gums, and through the cool breeze and breaking out into the sun midway through the runway, man, that's a luxury, an absolute luxury. A whole lot of good things had to happen and tumble together in order to bring that to home. But I want people here to know that I'm proud of where I came from, and I'm proud of the people that live here. I become my better self on the track through competition. I want to find as many big dogs to jump against. I want to find as many places that will have me and let me jump high and really let loose, because I'm going there to be serious and compete. But I'm not going there to do away with everybody and put myself on a pedestal. When I drive all the way to Nashville, well, I drove all the way to Nashville not to pole vault. I could have done that here. It wasn't a $1 million meet, but I got to see all kinds of people I wouldn't have otherwise been able to see when I was there.
As a coach's kid, one of the things I always wanted Sam to do was I wanted him to show gratitude to the officials and to the host coaches and things like that, because I hosted 72 competitions as a high school coach, and I know how much of a struggle it can be.
The track is my home. It's been my home ever since I was a toddler. I was always living on a track between events. And I always had great respect for my other athletes, and I see them as my peers. This strange year that we've had has impacted the next generation much more than it has me. People need momentum in this sport. Trust me, I've had to accrue plenty of it. And without that momentum, you'll never reach the next stage. hopefully we can get it back, but I don't think we'll get back everything that we quite lost. We'll have to build something anew.
With the light-speed pacing system set for 10 seconds.
Back it up a tad. No pull.
Stanley, look in the front of his singlet. Space for rent. Plenty of space there.
Getting old is not about hurting every day. It's about your warm-up being longer. This sport is rife with heritage, but it's ruled by young people. Youth drives this sport forward and forward and forward, and every 4 years there's a new generation of athlete. And I find myself getting further and further down the road of generations, and all of a sudden there's going to be some young cat that's going to come retire me. Just like on accident you have to retire the people that come before you. To be a professional for more than just a little while is not something everyone can attain. My goal was to have a career. That's not the sexy thing in athletics. I want to be in it for 10 years. I want to be credited with having been able to hang with different generations throughout my career. Now, being a world champion and Olympic medalist, my place is to hold that and to be that next vision for the generation coming after me.
See, Sam's 28, and he's thought of as an older athlete now, but he's really in his prime. And all of these came prior to that.
I don't know if you've ever sat on the track with the weight of the world on your shoulders. Boil it down to one play in a football game and you knew it was coming right up. The next play is where your life changes or it doesn't change. How would you think about that play? When you get there on the track, you've only got one shot. Once the bar gets up there, you know exactly what's on the line. You know exactly what it stands for. You know exactly what your reward is going to be on the far side. All you have to do is simply do it.